The US 75mm gun tank gun M2 and the later M3 were the standard American tank guns of the World War II, used primarily on the two main American medium tanks of the war, the M3 Lee, M2 or M3 gun, and the M4 Sherman, M3 gun. The lightweight M6 and M5 variants were developed to equip the M24 Chaffee light tank, and the G and H subtypes of the B-25 Mitchell bomber respectively. The M3 was also used on the prototype M7 medium tank platform. History. The 75mm tank gun has its origins in the famous French Canon de 75 Modèle 1897 field gun of World War I fame, which was also adopted by the United States and used well into World War II as the 75mm M1897 field gun. The tank and field guns fired the same range of 75x350R ammunition. The primary round was the 6.76 kilograms, 14.9 pounds, M48 high explosive round, which traveled at 625 m/s, 2050 feet/s, and contained 1.5 pounds, 680 grams, of TNT filling, 2,845 kilojoules of explosive energy, and a choice of fuse, the Super Quick, SQ, and the Delay, PD, which had delays of 0.05 and 0.15 seconds respectively. SQ was the standard setting, with PD used against structures, gun positions, or lightly protected vehicles. The field gun origins of the ordnance and ammunition ensured that the M2/3/6 series He round was highly effective for its caliber. The M48 was available in two versions, standard and supercharge, which had an increased propellant charge for greater muzzle velocity, 1,885 feet/s, 575 m/s, versus 1,470 feet/s, 450 m/s, and range, 2,300 yards greater. Other important rounds fired by the 75mm tank guns included the T-30 canister shot for use against troops in the open at short range. This, which was essentially a giant shotgun shell full of large numbers of steel balls, was used primarily in the Pacific. There was also the M89 base ejecting hexachlorothane, HC, smoke round and the M64 white phosphorus, WP or Willy Pete, round, which proved highly effective in the bocage fighting around Normandy. Finally, there were two different armor-piercing rounds. The first armor-piercing round was the 6.32 kilograms, 13.9 pounds, M72 APT, a plain uncapped armor-piercing round whose performance dropped off as range increased due to poor aerodynamics. The M72 was replaced by the 6.63 kilograms, 14.62 pounds, M61 armor-piercing capped ballistic capped high explosive with tracer, APT, shell. The blunt armor-piercing cap, made of a softer metal, helped to prevent shell shatter at higher velocities and against sloped and face-hardened armor. The aerodynamic ballistic cap acted as a windscreen and improved ballistic performance, maintained velocity, and hence increased penetration at longer ranges. Once the projectile had penetrated the target, a small explosive charge contained in a cavity at the base of the shell would detonate, shattering the shell and increasing damage inside the enemy vehicle. The tracer helped in the aiming of a second shot. In practice, the majority of M61 rounds were shipped without the explosive filler. The M61A1 used an improved method of attaching the ballistic cap to the shell. The M61 had a muzzle velocity of 617 m/s, 24.28 feet/s, and was credited with the ability to penetrate 81 mm, 3.2 in, of rolled homogeneous armor plate at 0 degrees from vertical at 500 yards range, which was a quite acceptable performance by the standards of 1942. This ammunition type proved lethal to the Panzer III and IV, up to OSF. F2, as these tanks were protected by a maximum of 50 mm of face-hardened armor with little slope, which the 75mm M3 with M61 was capable of penetrating from at least 1,500 m. However, in March 1942, the Germans introduced the OSF G version of the Panzer IV, which was armed with the 48 caliber long KWK-40 gun, and had frontal hull armor increased to 80 mm, however, its turret and gun mantelet retained their 50 mm thickness. This was somewhat compensated by the M4 Sherman's improved armor over the earlier M3 Lee, making up for the 75 mm M3's diminishing battlefield dominance. WA Proof 1 estimated that the M4's glacis was impenetrable to the KWK-40 when standing at a 30-degree side angle, while the 75 mm M3 could penetrate the OSFG's hull from 100 m in the same situation. British tanks in the early years of World War II relied on high-velocity, smaller caliber anti-tank guns, such as the 40 mm caliber Ordnance QF 2-pounder and 57 mm caliber Ordnance QF 6-pounder, for their primary armament. As tank guns, these had the great disadvantage of either not having a truly effective high-explosive round or not even having a HE round at all. After experiencing the effectiveness of the American 75 mm tank guns in the infantry support role, the British opted to adopt the American caliber and ammunition by the expedient of boring out the 6-pounder tank gun to make the Ordnance QF 75 mm. By 1944, this had become the standard British tank gun, equipping the Cromwell tank and Churchill tank for the campaigns in Northwest Europe. Variants: T6. Experimental anti-aircraft gun based on the M1897 field gun. The barrel was shortened from 36 to 31 calibers, and Nordenfeldt screw breech replaced with the sliding block breech. T7/M2. Adaptation of the T6 for tank gun role. Used on the early M3 Lee. Barrel length, 31 calibers. Muzzle velocity, 588 m/s, 1929 feet/s, with M72 AP shell. T8/M3. Longer derivative of the M2. Equipped American and British vehicles such as the M4 Sherman, the later models of the M3 Lee and the Churchill 3/4, scavenged from General Sherman tanks in the North African theater. The U.S. Army also experimented with mounting the M3 on various wheeled carriages for use as anti-tank gun, but the program was cancelled due to a lack of requirement. Barrel length, 40 calibers. Muzzle velocity, 619 m/s, 2031 foot/s, with M72 AP shell. M4. The 75 mm Aircraft Gun M4 is a modification of the M3 gun found in medium tanks. It differs from the M3 gun, only in having a seat for the spline machined in the tube. It was mounted on the M6 mount. T131/M5. A lightweight version of the M3 with a lighter thin-walled barrel and a different recoil mechanism that was used in the B-25H Mitchell bomber. It uses the same ammunition and has the same ballistics as the M3. M6. A version derived from the T131 for the M24 Chaffee. Barrel length, 39 calibers, 2,92 m. Muzzle velocity, 619 m/s, 2031 foot/s, with M72 AP shell.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.